All right, so I told you that this morning I would tell you why I'm going to Palestine. And I have so many things to say, honestly. And I also kind of don't entirely know exactly what to tell you, but I think the basic reason is I am going to listen. I'm going to learn and I'm going to love. I was invited by a good friend of mine, Bruce Reyes Chow, who was in Palestine in February with a delegation for solidarity with the suffering. And I was following his journey as he posted on Instagram, and I felt really drawn and I felt really curious and with a lot of compassion, just this great desire to learn more about the conflict in the Middle East and what is happening there. And of course, there's so much grief collectively that we are in right now as we look at the loss of life and hostages that are still not free from the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. And then we are seeing a full-scale retaliation in Gaza that is devastating. I've even woken up not being able to breathe sometimes, thinking of videos I've seen of children who are under the rubble in Gaza. And so definitely there's grief around the immense loss of life. And I know there's a lot of fear and a lot of trauma and a lot of grief on both sides. And as I look at the conversations that are happening around the nation and around the world, I am asking the question, can we acknowledge the very real, legitimate fear, grief, and trauma of one people group without diminishing the very real grief, trauma, pain, loss of another people group? I think the point, the hope, is ultimately to get to peace. Peace in Israel, peace in Palestine, peace all over the Middle East and the world, yes? And I think it is important for us to distinguish between peacekeeping and peacemaking. Peacekeeping is so often about maintaining the status quo. Peacekeeping is about sort of keeping intact hierarchies. Usually those who are suffering under oppression, they are ignored, and there really isn't fully peace for everyone. There isn't equality. Peacemaking sometimes feels very uncomfortable and disruptive because it's acknowledging the wound that needs to be healed for there to be real peace, lasting peace. Peacemaking can sometimes not feel very peaceful, but the thing is, and I'm going to later on sing my song, Live Your Life, for our gratitude practice. The lyric in that is one of my guiding lights in life is honor the pain because it points to the place where the medicine goes. Honor the pain because it points to the place where the medicine goes. I think in peacekeeping, the impulse or the tendency is to just numb out the pain, to ignore the pain, to just cover up the symptom rather than get to the heart of it, the source of the pain, the root of the pain. And peacemaking is we have to take a look at this and diagnose it, and we have to be honest about it, and we have to give it the resources that it requires to heal that wound and to actually create health in the body. I know a lot of us are struggling to know how to talk about this because I think some folks have struggled to advocate for the Palestinian people because they feel they might be betraying the Jewish people. And let me be clear, we must always condemn anti-Semitism. We must always, always condemn any form of hatred. If it's anti-Semitism, if it's anti-Blackness, if it's anti-Arabness, always, always, always. And so what I'm saying is, could we perhaps look at humanity as a body, as one body? And when a body is in trauma, all wounds have to be attended to, all of them. Every single part of the body gets the triage that it needs at the time. And if one part of the body is hemorrhaging or is so infected with gangrene that you might be about to lose that part of the body, that one gets priority in the triage, right? That one gets more attending, more resources initially, but not at the cost or expense of the other part of the body, because it's all a part of the whole. All of it is important. All of it is essential. So I hope that might be helpful in some of our conversations with others about this, because I know that it's been a real struggle. I think if we can agree that the ultimate goal is peace through equality, peace through the goal of collective flourishing, collective liberation, I think that can disarm some of the defensiveness that we are finding ourselves approaching. I also want to offer one more idea about calling in versus calling out. I think story dwelling is a good practice for us to call each other in, to take a look at all kinds of perspectives. I think one of the reasons we've struggled to talk about this, a lot of people have remained silent about it because it is complex and nuanced. There's some things about it that are so simple and straightforward, and then there are some things about it that are really incredibly complex and nuanced. So if this is something that your heart feels drawn to attend to and learn about, I want to ask you to lean in, to acknowledge the complexities are worth looking into and learning about, and that we will always be learning about them. I think that we can listen to another person that we disagree with and still learn something from them. And because it's so complex, it's good for us to have an understanding of all these multiple perspectives and voices in the mix, So I think when we are talking to a peer, we need to approach this as a calling in. Let's call in, let's listen to one another, let's pause, let's diffuse the anxiety with our breath if we need to, and recognize who we are with in that moment and realize that we can learn something from them. And it's just psychologically proven that if someone is confronted in a way where they feel attacked, they're not going to be open to listening. And so you kind of have to disarm by offering presence and sincerity and willingness to hear someone, even if you totally disagree with them. You have to be willing to listen for them to be willing to listen to you. I think it's a little bit different when we're talking about truth to power. Then I think some calling out is appropriate. Dr. King has talked about how no oppressed people group has ever maintained or gotten to liberation by being polite, right? Oppressed people groups have to demand their liberation. I have shared with you in the description a story dwelling playlist. I started to create it back in October, November, I think. That gives a little bit more context for the conflict in the Middle East and how many countries are a part of it, how the UN was created in response to the Holocaust. So many facets to this, so much of the backstory. I wanted to dive deeper into it and offer you some of those resources as well. So there's a playlist on there I'd love for you to check out. I'd also love for you to check out this link that we put in there from a progressive Jewish American who, recently was celebrating Passover, which is a story of liberation of the people of Israel, the ancient people of Israel from Egypt. And so many of the Jewish voices I've heard have approached that celebration of Passover as a really an igniting of desire for collective liberation, that for all people to be free. And so I invite you to check that out, to listen. And shall we say hello, check in. I'm late, but Maine is in the house. Good to see you, Carl. And I know that you supported the Storyteller Delegation to Palestine, so thank you so much for that. And thank you for the hearts, Robin. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. I have so much to say, but let's do a song. This song, Be at Peace, is written by my friend Steve Bassett. He wrote the lyrics and I wrote the music. This was a situation where, Steve sent me a stack of lyrics and this one kind of sang itself to me off the page. It was pretty cool. And I wanted to share it today because the process of peace is hard work. And I think it has to begin within our own hearts, where we practice peace within ourselves. And so feel free to sing along the chorus if it catches you.
Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love the ones always there for you, the ones who tend and care for you, who let their yeah be yeah for you. Oh, and love the ones who just can't figure you, the ones who somehow trigger you. Be the better, bigger you. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love the ones always lifting you, the ones whose tides don't shift from you, who let their light come shining through. Oh, and love the ones who poke and pressure you, the ones who never treasure you. Be the love no measure you. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love and resistance, peace and persistence. This is how we break the silence. This is how we slay the giants. Together in the trenches, tearing down the fences. Beautiful and brilliant, redemption in resilience. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace. Be at peace. Be at peace. Be at peace.
So often in bringing a conflict to resolution, there has to be acknowledgement of ways that we have interfered with our own intention for peace, right? And so one of the things in that story dwelling playlist that I shared with you is a video from Jimmy Carter talking about his book, Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. And he talks about how within Israel, there's no suggestion that there's apartheid there. It's a wonderful democracy with equality. It's in the West Bank and how the Palestinian people have been oppressed and there are illegal occupations. And so I have heard so many different narratives, so many different stories around this. I honestly wanted to go see for myself. I want to see for myself what is happening there. And I want to hear the stories of the Palestinian people who their stories are often not heard. And so I'm really grateful to be going with a good delegation of creatives, filmmakers, writers, musicians, dancers, and we will work with local Palestinian artists for peace projects. One of the things in the cosmic calendar that I didn't include is that on the 13th or 14th is the Israeli Declaration of Independence Day. And then the next day on the 15th, on the Palestinian side, it's Nakba Day. And so their grief and their resistance. On this trip, we are planning to meet with both Palestinians and Jewish Israelis who are part of nonviolent resistance of apartheid in the West Bank. And so I am eager to learn. I'm eager to listen and to love on every person involved that I encounter. And a couple more things we're planning to bear witness to. And that is why I'm going to Palestine, is to bear witness. And so we may get to visit a prison and witness a military court. We are planning to visit gypsies and Samaritans and all kinds of different groups of people in the region and simply capture those stories. So there isn't actually a huge agenda. It's simply to story dwell in my words. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I anticipate astonishing beauty from the culture and the people. I know there's a lot of joy and resilience. And I'm also looking forward to learning more of the truth of the situation, and I will seek to share with you just honestly and fairly when I return what I have borne witness to, what I've seen. I do kind of also anticipate grieving, and I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to grieve and just hold space